Hello, welcome to today's episode. I'll be interviewing an undergraduate student on the connection between biochemistry, civil engineering, and environmental engineering. This is my first attempt at an interview format. So, for any new viewers and for future reference, what I'll be deciding to do is record post commentary, like right now, before the interview process begins. I will then prepare a few questions aimed towards the person during the interview and discuss their area of knowledge. And my main goal is to have a broader understanding of different areas of research while building experience when communicating with others. There were a few edits between conversations due to a few interruptions. There were also a few editing errors, but as a whole, the recorded conversation should still flow as usual. And finally, after the interview is finished, I will record an ending statement. So I hope you enjoy today's episode as the second episode of the podcast. Hello, thanks for joining me, Matthew. Just before we get into the episode here, could you tell me a bit about yourself?
Okay, my name is Matthew Henery. I am 21 years old and I'm studying civil and environmental engineering at the University of Strathclyde. At the moment, I'm in my fourth year of studies, and the parts of my course that I take the most interest in are the environmental aspect, most specifically the water related and geotechnical parts of the course.
Alright, that's good. So you like, is that like distilling and stuff?
Yeah, like what was it, like treatment of water, stuff to do with the flow of water, and things like that.
Alright, I might ask you something about that later,
Okay.
about chemical processes, but that'll be for later. But before we go into like basically the rest of the questions I have for you, I'd like to just give you a brief on how our fields overlap.
Okay.
Do you see, because you do civil and environmental engineering, is that a joint degree or is that 2 degrees?
It's sort of just mashed into like both of them are in the 1 degree because there's the option to go and do just civil engineering on its own.
Ah,
So the
right, okay.
environmental part just has, the more environmental specific courses you could take.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of similar. I do biochemistry and pharmacology. I just say biochem because whenever I'm actually talking to someone, it's like a word salad. Do
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, I know what you mean.
Since you do a joint degree, there are like many aspects where we interconnect, and from what I understand about civil engineering, it relies on chemical processes for construction, design, and upkeep towards efficient structures. An example would be biofuels and biomaterials used as environmentally conscious methods. So this is only like one aspect of chemical processes you use, and like you said, you use like water like processes like distilling and stuff. And one of the main reasons I wanted to speak with you is the fact that environmental biochemistry relies on civil engineering. I think there should be a active effort towards biochemists and civil engineers to collaborate and build environmentally friendly and obviously sustainable infrastructure. So that was just basically the brief there I've gave you. I would like to talk about potential areas of chemical processes and civil engineering that do apply to bioscience. I think I've wrote something down here where I did say like, what potential areas of chemical processes and engineering do you know that apply to bioscience?
Well, okay, there's a few that I can think of that are of interest to biosciences. One of them is water treatment, which looks into how water is treated and the methods that are used in a treatment plant, or sort of more so the process from when water enters the plant to when it leaves. And the most specific parts, I would say, are that of coagulation, flocculation, and sedimentation, which investigate how an agent can combine and settle the like aggregates that are needed to be cleaned.
Yep.
And I think when engineers are interested in the methods, a biochemist may wish to more closely investigate the reaction and the results of said reaction.
Okay, yeah. No.
So
Oh,
yeah,
you still going? Sorry.
yeah, I've got another one. So another one would be looking into waste disposal, which sort of talks about all the different ways that we get rid of waste and what impacts they may have on the environment, like recycling, incineration, and landfills. And I would say that, again, where an engineer may just be interested in the method itself, a biochemist may be interested in, say, how the sort of the pollutants that could be given off of anything that's sent into a landfill or if it's incinerated and what impact it could have.
Yeah.
My apologies.
No, it's okay. My next question would be, what motivated you to enter the field of civil engineering?
Well, the main aspect that caught my attention was back to the environmental aspect of the course. And it's mainly because the environment is becoming an ever more relevant part of today's society with the ever growing push to go green, so to speak. And I took an interest in the potential for innovation in developing new ways to construct stuff whilst also protecting the environment in a way. And I would say mostly it came from the thought of creating something new that and working with new stuff that could become commonfold in the future.
Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. So you would think being kind of thoughtful about the environment impact is something you think something that you should value in your field. Would
Yeah,
that be true? Yeah.
yeah, I would say so.
So from something that you value, I'd like to know from the time you've studied, what are the essential skills you think a civil engineer should have?
Oh, probably the biggest one I can think of is the communication and teamwork, as most of the projects that I've done have often been group related projects, and if you were to sort of look at real larger scale projects, they would involve lots of teams working from all different aspects, whether it's planning a project to being someone who works on site or even being in charge of logistics for getting supplies onto a site or equipment and tools. And as such, the concept of teamwork is very important to ensure that that everything is done optimally and there's nothing that the project say doesn't go over budget and there's no delays and most of all no one is hurt in the act. And if I was to come up with another major one, I would say it's probably very good to have the knowledge of using computer aided systems, as their stuff like Autodesk is becoming more and more common within the planning aspects of these projects.
Oh, that's good. From like what you're saying about like projects, I'm quite interested in what you have to say about that because something I'd like to know about from your time studying. What would the most difficult project or task you've been given towards a project have you worked on since you've been a student?
I think my toughest projects have came about again from where teamwork has broken down, and the group's not being able to communicate effectively on and like delegate roles to one another. I think an example of this was a project I did regarding wastewater treatment. And at one point, the communication sort of just fell apart, and it sort of resulted in me having to complete the project effectively on my own, as
Oh, I
people
hate
either
that.
moved to either other groups or just didn't communicate with me.
Yeah.
And I think,
Oh, mhm.
so I was just going to say that puts into perspective how easy it is for a project to fall apart when there isn't any cooperation going on within the project.
Yeah. I remember I know what that's kind of like. It's a really hard thing to do, like especially if you have to reach out to your like module like coordinators or stuff or like the people and you don't get a response. That can be
I,
stressful.
it wasn't even so much from like the lecturers who were running it. It was more just the people I was in the group with. The
Ah,
It sort of just broke down
yeah.
because I know when at one point I did ask for guidance from the lecturer who was in charge, and I did get some ample responses from them very quickly compared to the people who just stopped communicating with me in this project.
That's good. So you got at least you got help with it.
Yeah, got some help when I needed it.
Yeah, I had a similar thing, but like it just ended up being that like I did have a group work. There was just like one person missing. It was just kind of like, what do we do about that? But it didn't really impact us that much. So, so like, I can tell like from my time like knowing you, because I've known you for basically all my life, because we went to like primary and that.
And secondary, yes.
Well, obviously secondary, and like technically uni, we are at the same uni, so that's something still taught there. I know you have like a interest in.
Are we at the same uni?
You don't know we're both at Strathclyde?
Yeah. Wait, you're at Strathclyde now?
Yeah, I've been at. I should have probably told you. I
thought you were. I thought you were Glasgow Cali. Did you?
I was. What happened was it was what do you call it? It was I'd done this thing where I was at college, and it was a thing where I would be transferred over automatically, but I still applied for UCAS to other places, and I preferred Strathclyde.
Oh, wait, so you're actually at How have I not run into you?
I have no idea, honestly. Like, because like we basically text and like we just talk to each other online. It's like that. There was a time where like me, Ryan, and Matthew and that like went to play football, and you weren't there. But like, I'm trying to think of times we just for some reason just haven't bumped into each other through like circumstance.
Oh, now I'm looking out for you now. I'm looking out for you.
Wait, do you not remember when I typed in, I think, Snapchat? I was like, did I just see you on the street?
I was still under the impression that maybe he was going through. He had to go through that bit to get to GCU.
Oh wait, they are close because it's like literally like a 10-minute walk.
Close. Yeah, I genuinely thought that was. Yeah, this is actually a revelation for me.
That's actually so funny.
Yes, I didn't know until now that you're now at Strathclyde.
I was technically still a Caledonian student. I just like we still went to the uni when I was in college. It was it's weird.
I think I know what you're on about, because I think my first year at university was something similar. When I was, because that was called the Engineering Academy, where I had to spend a year at City of Glasgow, and every like Friday, I think it was, I'd go into the university, whether it was for lectures or if I had to do practical work as part of the course.
Yeah, I really like the way colleges and unis work in terms of like how they like it's easy in the terms of just like being able to like apply to places, you know, like it's kind of thought out that way.
Yeah.
So like I think I'm just going to basically like kind of wrap it there. I was just from like what I can tell, like I remember you did show on your Snapchat where like you showed a picture, but it was like I think it was cement. It was like these pancake looking things, I thought.
Oh, well, that was.
Was that not cement?
That was. Well, no, that was actually clay, and at the time, I think it was part of my project. Now we're working with this grouting material called silica, which is a fairly new one that the university's been experimenting with.
Oh, right. That sounds interesting.
Yeah. See, the most interesting part is the fact that it is new, and it's sort of just something that the sort of research bit is working on. Yeah, it's something that my advisor's taken a particular interest in for quite a while.
That's good. Like it's always good when you kind of get to be like guinea pigs in a sort of way, where like they try something new. Basically, I think that's it. Thanks for joining me. I have just one last question about your undergraduate year and your future plans.
Well, my undergraduate year's been, I guess, odd, considering that the first 2 years I spent in university have been online due to COVID. I mean, in the third year it was sort of on and off, but it wasn't exactly the university life I was expecting to have. But regardless, I've enjoyed it, learning all this stuff about environmental engineering, and I do look forward to the future. And I'm hoping that I can get a career related, sorry, to my geotechnical studies or my any of my water related courses, as they've stood out to the most and been to me the most interesting and probably quite relevant topics in today's climate.
Yes, I mean, even if like, hopefully you do get something related, but it's still like a really good degree to have in
It
terms of
is.
just applying in general, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
And who knows, maybe I'll even come back to to do postgraduate work at some point in the future.
you can even like do that, like,
'Cause I know in my project in the area and the campus I'm working at, there's a lot of postgraduate students who are also working in there as well.
yeah, I mean, that's like obviously like a good thing. You can like, you can do stuff where like you can go into work, go back to uni, postgrad, you can just continue straight away. It's whatever you're
Yeah.
comfortable with.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so that's basically it.
Thank you for having me.
Yep, and I'll keep you updated when I post this as well.
Okay.
Cool, cool. Thank you for listening to the STEM Andy podcast. I hope to make another independent installment for episode 3. But until then, I'll be orientating between interviews and solo episodes. Unfortunately, this episode took quite a while to come out due to a few audio and mixing errors that I've tried to minimise through editing. So hopefully there are less interruptions for the future, and I'll see you next time.